There are so many things about infidelity that you don't understand unless you've lived through it. And I think that's part of what makes it so difficult for those of us that have been cheated on, because we often hear from people who've imagined it, but have never lived it. And they love to give us their perspective and their advice. And it seems so simple, so cut and dry. But yet, those of us that have been through it, well, we know the truth, don't we? It's not so easy. It's not so simple. It's not so black and white. So one of the first things that you don't realize about being cheated on, unless you've lived through it, is how complex the emotional reaction can be. You imagine that you're going to feel angry and sad and all those things, and you do. You absolutely do. But it's not the only thing you feel. In fact, there's this great war that goes on inside your mind because you at once both love and hate this person. You want them, but yet you're repulsed by them. It's this dichotomy that's struggling to exist at the same time, and it simply makes no sense at all. And that's one of those things that I don't think you can understand how extreme those feelings are, how you both crave their touch and at the same time feel completely repulsed that they ever touched you. How this person is both the love of your life and the destroyer of your world. Those that have not been cheated on often distill the entire experience to solely the act and limit its impact to your relationship. But it's so much bigger than that, isn't it? Because before you discovered the affair, you thought you knew your life. There was a certainty that you had. And then once you discovered that you have been living a lie, then uncertainty fills in. And all of a sudden, everything is called into question. And you find yourself going through every single memory that you've ever had. And you dissect it. Is it still real? Or was this false as well? And at first, maybe those are limited to only your interactions with the person that cheated on you. They don't stay there. You start to question everything. Unless you've been cheated on, you can't understand the power and the intensity of the flashbacks and the intrusive thoughts. You simply can't fathom how the smallest little trigger can pull you back into a moment of enormous pain and confusion and even fear. But for those of us that have been cheated on, we get it. We know. We see that overreaction in somebody else, and we see a kindred spirit. We understand, because we've been there. Before I had been cheated on, I thought that if it ever happened to me, that I wouldn't care at all about the affair partner, that they would be inconsequential. Well, you're probably laughing because you know that that's not the case. I became obsessed with finding everything I could about her. And just, in my case, she was a victim as well. She did not know that he was married. But I was still curious. I still needed to know. I had this drive to know as much as I could as I tried to understand why he had done what he had done. And that obsessive drive is pretty normal. Part of the reason that we do that is it's safer than focusing all of that on our ex, because it's really hard to accept that the person that loved you is the one that did this. And so a lot of times we try to put that responsibility off on the affair partner. And we focus some of that anger on them because they're not the person that we care about. So it's a much safer place to put it. But again, until you've been there, you just don't get that. And watching somebody from the outside focusing on the affair partner like that, it seems a little crazy. But when you're there, it seems necessary. You know, like so many of life's experiences, it's not really something you can understand until you've lived it. And I'm sorry that you have lived it. I'm sorry that you do understand. I ask that you try to be patient with the people in your life that want the best for you, but just don't quite get it. They're coming from a place of ignorant compassion. They care, but they just don't understand. So be kind to them and be kind to yourself.